Do you know what the biggest lie about learning English is? People tell you to study more grammar, memorize more vocabulary, watch more English videos. But after months or even years, you still hesitate when someone asks you a simple question. Why? Because speaking is not something you learn by collecting information. Speaking is something your brain learns by doing. And here's the surprising part. You don't actually need an English partner to become a better speaker. In fact, some of the best speaking practice you'll ever do can happen completely alone. Today, I want to show you one technique that completely changes the way you practice English by yourself. For many years, I believed confidence came first and action came second. Business taught me the opposite. Every company I built, every speech I gave, every meeting where I felt completely unprepared showed me one simple truth. Confidence is never the beginning. Confidence is the reward for doing something many times. English is exactly the same. Many people tell me, Jack, I don't have anyone to practice with. I smile every time I hear that, because I think they are asking the wrong question. The real question is not, who can I practice with? The real question is, have I learned how to practice with myself? Those are two very different things. You see, most people think speaking English is a social skill. I think it is a thinking skill. Long before your words come out of your mouth, they already exist somewhere inside your mind. If your mind never learns to think in English, your mouth will always be waiting for instructions. Imagine driving a car. At first, every movement feels difficult. You think about the mirror, the steering wheel, the pedals, the traffic signs. Everything requires conscious effort. Months later, you drive home and suddenly realize you don't even remember the last 10 minutes of the journey. Did the road disappear? No. Your brain simply became efficient. Speaking English works exactly like that. The goal is not to know more English. The goal is to make English require less effort. That changes everything. Many learners spend years collecting vocabulary like someone collecting beautiful tools inside a toolbox. They open the box every day. They admire the tools. They organize the tools, but they never build anything. Words are exactly the same. Knowing thousands of words doesn't mean you can build a conversation, because conversations are not collections. They are construction. Every sentence is something you build in real time, and the only way to become faster at building is building. Not reading about building. Not watching someone else build. Building. Now here's something I wish more English learners understood. Your speaking muscles don't live inside your mouth. They live inside your brain. Your mouth is only the final speaker. Your brain is the real athlete. If the brain has never practiced producing English, then your mouth cannot magically become fluent. This is why so many people become frustrated. They listen for 3 hours every day. They watch movies. They watch YouTube. They finish online courses. Then they wonder why speaking still feels impossible. Listening is important. Very important. But listening alone is like watching professional basketball every evening and expecting your body to become stronger. Your eyes improve. Your knowledge improves. Your body does not. Speaking requires movement, mental movement. There is one habit that completely changed the way I think about learning languages. I started talking when nobody was listening. That sounds funny, doesn't it? But think about children. Have you ever watched a small child playing alone? They talk to their toys. They invent conversations. They become the teacher, the student, the customer, the superhero. Nobody tells them to do this. Their brain naturally understands something adults often forget. Language grows through use, not through permission. As adults, we become embarrassed. We think speaking alone looks strange. I think waiting forever because you're embarrassed is much stranger. One of the best English teachers you will ever have is the version of yourself that is willing to sound imperfect. Every morning, before checking your phone, describe your room. This window is open. My coffee smells good. I didn't sleep enough. The weather looks better today. Simple, not impressive, but something incredible is happening. Your brain is no longer translating ideas. It is producing ideas. That difference is enormous. At first, you may only speak for 30 seconds, then 1 minute, then 3 minutes. One day, you suddenly realize you have been speaking for 10 minutes without stopping. Not because your English became perfect, because your fear became smaller. Most people think fluency means speaking quickly. I disagree. Fluency means your ideas keep moving, even when you don't know the perfect word. Imagine I ask you to explain what a helicopter is. Suppose you forget the word helicopter. Does the conversation end? Of course not. You can say, it's the machine that flies in the sky with big blades on top. Maybe the vocabulary isn't perfect, but communication survives. Native speakers do this every day. They forget words too. The difference is they don't panic. English learners often believe every missing word is an emergency. It isn't. Communication is much more flexible than grammar books make us believe. This is why I tell people not to chase perfect sentences. Chase complete thoughts. Your listener wants your idea, not your perfect grammar. Now let me share a practice that almost nobody does, even though it is incredibly powerful. I call it becoming your own conversation partner. Every evening, ask yourself 3 questions. What happened today? What did I learn today? What will I do tomorrow? Answer them out loud. Don't write first. Don't prepare. Don't memorize. Just answer. Some days, your answers will be very short. I worked. I was tired. I watched a movie. That's completely fine. The goal isn't to sound intelligent. The goal is to remove the distance between thinking and speaking. Every day, that distance becomes a little shorter. One day, someone asks you the same question in real life. Instead of freezing, your brain smiles. It says, I've answered this before. That feeling is priceless. Another mistake many learners make is believing they need new material every day. New podcasts, new textbooks, new vocabulary lists, new YouTube videos. Always new. Business taught me something different. Growth often comes from going deeper, not wider. If one short story contains 20 useful expressions, why read 100 new stories before mastering the first one? Depth creates ownership. Repetition creates automaticity. If you really want to surprise yourself, choose 1 2-minute speech. Listen to it once. Don't immediately repeat every sentence. Instead, close your eyes. Imagine you are the speaker. Now explain the same message using your own English, not identical words. Your own words. This forces your brain to create instead of copy, and creation is where real speaking begins. Later, listen again. You notice expressions you missed, sentence patterns you forgot, small grammar choices you didn't realize were there. Now speak again. It will already feel easier. Repeat this several times over a few days. Something fascinating begins to happen. The sentences stop feeling borrowed. They start feeling like yours. That is exactly how language becomes part of your identity. Grammar works in a very interesting way. Many learners try to memorize rules before using them. But think about your favorite song. How many times have you listened to it? Probably dozens, maybe hundreds. You never sat down to memorize every line, yet somehow, one day, you found yourself singing along without even trying. Your brain learned through meaningful repetition. Language can work the same way. When you repeatedly hear natural sentence patterns and then use those patterns to express your own ideas, your brain begins recognizing them automatically. You stop asking yourself, should I use this tense or that tense? Instead, the sentence simply feels right. That feeling doesn't come from memorizing rules. It comes from repeated experience. This is one reason I encourage imitation, but not the kind that turns you into a robot. Don't become an echo. Become a musician. A musician may learn another person's song, but eventually the music becomes personal. The rhythm becomes natural. The emotion becomes genuine. English should feel like that too. When you hear someone tell a story, don't think, I need to repeat every word exactly. Think, can I tell this story as if it happened to me? Maybe the original speaker says they got lost in London. Perhaps you've never been to London. So change it. Maybe you got lost in your own city. Maybe you lost your phone in a shopping mall. Maybe you missed the wrong bus. The details don't matter. The speaking does. Now your brain is not memorizing. It is living inside the language. And once the language starts feeling like it belongs to you, something else begins to change. You stop searching for permission. You stop asking yourself, is this sentence correct? Instead, you ask, can the other person understand what I mean? That is a much better question, because language was never invented to impress people. Language was invented to connect people. I have met many entrepreneurs from different countries. Some spoke perfect English. Others made grammar mistakes almost every minute. But do you know who usually left the strongest impression? The people who spoke with energy, the people who spoke with sincerity, the people who were not afraid to continue speaking, even when they couldn't find the perfect word. People remember confidence much longer than they remember grammar. Now, don't misunderstand me. Grammar matters. Pronunciation matters. Vocabulary matters. But they are servants. Communication is the master. When you make communication your priority, everything else starts growing around it. There is another exercise I love because it trains something most learners never think about. Reaction. In real conversations, nobody gives you 10 seconds to prepare. Someone asks a question. Your brain moves. Your mouth follows. That speed doesn't come from intelligence. It comes from familiarity. So here's what I want you to try. Choose random objects around your room. A chair, a bottle, a backpack, a pen. Now, look at one object and immediately say 5 sentences about it. Don't stop to think too much. This chair is old. I bought it 2 years ago. I usually sit here when I work. It isn't very comfortable. I should probably buy a new one. Simple. Then move to another object. Do the same thing. What you're really practicing isn't vocabulary. You're practicing starting. Most people aren't afraid of English. They're afraid of the first sentence. Once the first sentence comes out, the second one is much easier. The third is easier than the second. Momentum is a wonderful teacher. This is why I never wait until I feel ready. If I had waited until I felt ready to start Alibaba, I would probably still be waiting today. Action creates readiness, not the other way around. English follows the same rule. Sometimes people ask me, Jack, how long should I practice every day? They expect a magical number. 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours. But I think they're asking the wrong question again. The better question is, can I practice tomorrow? Because tomorrow is where most learning disappears. Anyone can study hard for one weekend. Very few people build a habit they can keep for 1 year. Imagine brushing your teeth. You don't brush them for 3 hours every Saturday. You brush them for a few minutes every day. Language works much more like brushing your teeth than preparing for an exam. Small actions, repeated consistently. They seem almost invisible until one day the results become impossible to ignore. I also want you to stop measuring yourself against fluent speakers. Measure yourself against yesterday. Yesterday, maybe you spoke for 30 seconds. Today, you spoke for 2 minutes. That is success. Yesterday, you translated every sentence. Today, you translated only half of them. That is success. Yesterday, you were afraid to record your own voice. Today, you listen to yourself without feeling embarrassed. That is success too. Progress is often very quiet. If you're always waiting for dramatic improvement, you may completely miss the small victories that are actually transforming you. Here's another habit that helped me learn many things throughout my life. At the end of every day, ask yourself one simple question. What sentence do I wish I had known today? Maybe you wanted to tell someone you were exhausted. Maybe you wanted to explain your opinion. Maybe you wanted to describe an experience. Find that sentence. Learn it. Use it tomorrow. This is how vocabulary becomes personal. Not because it appeared on page 43 of a textbook, because your own life needed it. The brain remembers useful information much better than random information. Another powerful habit is recording yourself. I know many people hate hearing their own voice. I did too. The first time I listened to myself speaking publicly, I thought, do I really sound like that? It was uncomfortable. But discomfort is often excellent feedback. Record yourself talking about any topic for 2 or 3 minutes. Then wait a few hours. Listen again. Don't criticize yourself. Become curious. Notice where you paused. Notice the words you repeated too often. Notice where your ideas became unclear. You don't need another person to point out every mistake. Sometimes your own ears are your best teacher. One thing you'll discover is that many mistakes disappear naturally after enough meaningful repetition. Not because you forced yourself to memorize rules, because your brain quietly noticed the patterns. Our brains are extraordinary pattern-finding machines. Give them enough good examples. Give them enough opportunities to use those examples. They will begin connecting the dots without you even realizing it. This is exactly why children become fluent without studying grammar books first. They don't begin with rules. They begin with experience. As adults, we have one advantage children don't have. We can combine awareness with experience. We can notice patterns while still focusing on communication. That combination is incredibly powerful. I also encourage you to make English part of ordinary moments. Don't wait until it's study time. While cooking, explain the recipe in English. While walking, describe what you see. While driving, predict what you'll do after arriving. While waiting in line, imagine someone asking about your day. These little conversations may seem insignificant. They're not. They teach your brain that English belongs in everyday life, not only inside a classroom. Eventually, English stops feeling like a subject. It starts feeling like a tool. And tools become easier to use the more often we reach for them. There is one final idea I want to leave with you. Please stop believing that fluent speakers are fearless. They aren't. They simply learn to continue speaking while feeling uncertain. There is a huge difference. Every language learner makes mistakes. Every speaker forgets words. Every conversation contains imperfect moments. The people who become fluent are not the people who avoid mistakes. They are the people who stop treating mistakes like evidence of failure. Instead, they treat mistakes like evidence that they are actually using the language. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. If you never wobble, you're probably standing still. If you never make mistakes in English, perhaps you're only studying it. Real learning is a little messy. Real progress is sometimes awkward, and that is perfectly normal. So if you finish this video today, don't close YouTube and tell yourself, that was interesting. Instead, stand up. Walk around your room. Look out your window. Pick any topic at all and speak. Speak for 1 minute. Then tomorrow, speak for 2. Next week, maybe 5. Months from now, you'll look back and realize something remarkable. You didn't suddenly become fluent one magical morning. You became fluent because you gave your brain hundreds of small opportunities to think, build, and communicate. One conversation with yourself at a time. One imperfect sentence at a time. One ordinary day at a time. If there is one thing I truly hope you remember after listening to me today, it is this. Don't wait until you feel confident before you speak English. Speak English until confidence quietly finds you. I believe every person watching me has the ability to become a confident English speaker. Not because some people are naturally gifted, but because the human brain is designed to improve through meaningful practice. Trust the process. Be patient with yourself. Keep showing up. Your future English is being built by the small choices you make today, even when they don't seem impressive. One day, someone will ask you a question in English. You won't rehearse. You won't translate. You won't panic. You'll simply smile and answer. And when that moment comes, you'll realize it was never about finding the perfect method. It was about trusting yourself enough to keep speaking, even before you believed you could. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope our conversation gives you one more reason to practice today, not someday. And if this message helped you see English in a different way, I hope we'll meet again here on English in Mission. Until then, keep speaking, keep learning, and enjoy the journey.